Hello, welcome back to some more Asian cinema. Here we're going to go to a Sion Sono double bill, and we've got The Whispering Star and we've got Antiporno. These are two films released in the UK by Third Windows Films, and they're both terrific. I saw a Sono film last year, Tag, which I did a review of, which I thought was wonderful, and now I'm getting into it. I was buying up his films over the year, but now because of the coronavirus self-isolation, I'm actually going through them now. So I've got a few more that like Land of Hope and Love and Peace and Love Exposure are down there that I'm going to get to too. I've also got Suicide Club and Guilty of Romance on DVD, so I've got quite a few to still watch. The first one I watched was Antiporno. This is a shorter one. This is 77 minutes, and it was based on the idea of doing a Roman porno, which is, the Roman pornos was in the 70s when the Japanese film industry collapsed and they couldn't face the competition from America and other countries, and their homegrown product wasn't really doing it and wasn't finding an audience. Because in the 60s, 50s, 60s, they had their own studio systems. They were making like Godzilla films, Yakuza films. Each studio had their own style of filmmaking. The directors like Ozu, Ichikawa, all these people, Kobayashi, making films in the studio but making interesting films at the same time. Kurosawa, stuff like that. I mean, the industry was supporting these really good directors. Then the 70s all collapsed, and some studios like Nikatsu were making like Roman porno films, which is basically like gangster films with a lot of sex scenes. They fell away eventually, they just fell away, and the Japanese industry re-emerged, and directors like Takashi Miike came up through the direct-to-video route, and they found new routes of way to get their films made and seen. So eventually re-established themselves as a force for making really good films, and now Japan and Asia are making very good films again, and it's one of the places to always go and watch films. You have Japan, you have Hong Kong, China's now financing films, you have Taiwan, Korea. They're all doing really good films. But this was at the worst period. I mean, there's still good films made, but some of them were porno. And if you watch stuff like the Female Prisoner, Scorpion films, they have a lot of gratuitous nudity in them that verge on the Roman porno, but don't quite get there. But they're obviously trying to appeal to people who go and see these films too. So in the 2000s, 2010s, they decided to do some 5 films that were a throwback to the Roman porno period. I think it's through Nikatsu. I'm not quite sure if Nikatsu did it, but it probably would have been. And Sion Sono was asked to do one of them, and he made a film called Antiporno. And this is the only film with a female protagonist. The rest of all were male protagonists. And the whole idea was you're going to have a sex scene every 10-15 minutes. And that's the limitation. It's a bit sex, there's a sexual undercurrent to it. But Sono took this and made his own film. I should say, all the Sono films I've seen so far, all with female protagonists, and they've all been interesting about dealing with female protagonists. They all seem to, Sono seemed to be very good with women as central characters. In this one, it's a character you initially see. She's this like artist, a young artist who is very sexually repressed. She lives in this very stylized yellow room where there's a bathroom. There's a point where she's wakes up in the nudes, and she's made by an artist, and people come to interrogate her, and she's been a sadist to her assistant, who's an older woman and a middle-aged woman who's here because she is so inspired by this new artist who writes all these books and is making all these statements about the way the world is and the women's place in it, and she's abusing it, and all these arty people come out and end up abusing the assistant, and basically one of them ends up having sex with her, like forcefully, like very much a rape kind of thing. But it's women doing it to women, and it's a really intriguing, disturbing, weird thing going on, and then he pulls back and you realise this is a set and they're making a film. And the director doesn't think the lead actress who's very young can pull off the part because she doesn't have the life experience to do it, and he thinks she's a virgin. Then she keeps on trying to do it, and it turns out the person who played her weak assistant is actually a experienced actress who is wondering why this idiot has been given this part and hates her, and it's really brutal to her. So everything gets switched around. Like in the film, she's the dominant person. In real life, she's the submissive person. And then you start to pull back the layers a bit more, and you start to see who the actress actually is. And it turns out she's underage. She hasn't told anyone, and she's doing this to actually have sex, and she's scared of sex, and she pukes every time she thinks about it. And she's disturbed by the fact that her father remarried after her mother died, and had an active sex life with his new wife, and also her sister had died. So she's very disturbed and very broken, and the whole film becomes a look at the need for experience, the disturbance of experience, the need for sexuality, the disturbance of sexuality, and how they all kind of interlink, and how it's not just one simplistic thing, it's actually lots of different connections, and there's lots of different facades, and the facades you have are somewhat truthful but also a lie to deflect from what's really going on inside. But also it does hint at what you actually are. Like, this girl really is pretentious and silly, but she's not experienced, she's trying to have she's experienced. The other actress who's as experienced, you find out the part that this young woman was playing is probably based on the person playing the submissive assistant, because that's her personality, and she's always complaining that she could play the part better. Which of course she could, because she's that person. And it becomes this sort of linkage of experience versus inexperience, and what you gain and lose from life, and how play acting can help or hinder you, because you're play acting to get some experience, but also it's play acting, but it's also a part of your life at the same time. There is an emotional connection, and if you can do the part, there is a connection to you that you might not understand, but it is there. So this complicated story that's more about character and atmosphere than it is about plot. The plot doesn't matter. Same with Tag. I mean, the worst part of Tag for me was the explanation at the end, which took about 10 minutes at the end, and was like, that's the worst part of the film by a mile. The rest of it was so much more interesting, so much more surreal and weird about how you experience things. And it's the same actress in that, and Tag you had in this one as well, played a young girl, and she's very good in both films. And the whole film is it's fascinating, because it goes from the stylisation of a set that's been built to make an impression, to the stylisation of a home which has also been built to make an impression, but it reflects an actual home. But homes are built to make an impression too, to your friends and family. Like, this is what we want to be, this is who we are. And then what goes on beyond the surface of it is always probably more disturbing than you'd want to deal with. And same thing with the set, where basically the set is just exploitation of sexuality for mass consumption, but it looks beautiful, and everyone there is there for a reason, which is to get paid, but it's also there because they've chosen to be in this world. This is what fulfills them, even though they probably won't probe into why it fulfills them. So it's a very complicated, intriguing film. It's not trying to give you answers. At the end, you make up your own interpretation of what's really going on with the characters. It's not trying to say, this is who it is, this is the exact explanation of why you should interpret it. It's much more like, we're giving you a lot of details, we're giving you an atmosphere. The story is almost a short story expanded through cinema, through visualisation of stylisation, then to something a bit more like realism, but it's also how they all mix together. But it does feel like a short story. And it's filled with ambiguities. It's not trying to end with something that's a simplistic summing up of it. It's just like, you make your own mind now. We've given you information, now you work the rest out yourself. So Antiporno is wonderful. I really enjoyed Antiporno. It's built a lot more up in my head as I've thought about it after a few days after seeing it, so it's just terrific. The Whispering Star is very different from Antiporno in the sense that it's a science fiction movie. But it's similar in the sense it's a female protagonist and it's about her experience of the world and the sort of surroundings and expression of her character. In this case, it's set in well in the future where humanity is expanding through the stars. They've made lots of mistakes and humanity is now kind of burnt out. They kind of realise that they have been the problem and they're building more and more AIs now, and AIs have become more like them and more... they're kind of the replacements, really. And the AI have a certain nostalgia for the old style humanity, like the old style science fiction stylization, old different relics of humanity in the past. So you go with this one woman who's a robot, but she's looks human and acts human, and she's the delivery person, the way you'd have someone delivering an Amazon package or something. But because it's in space, you know, it takes days or years to get there. I mean, you can't teleport it, but people want the experience of a hand-delivered package, so they'd rather wait years for a hand-delivered package rather than have it teleported. And you watch her going round, because she's ageless, she's just going to keep going, stay the same age. She's rented this ship that's got a very retro look. It looks like a house with a rocket at the back. It's like one room. And initially you're thinking, why is there no bathroom there? And then you find out she's a robot. But she's drinking tea, and it's all about the box of your own life and how you keep working. So it's a perfect isolation film. It's about isolation, but someone stuck in one room for most of their lives. And then what happens when they manage to get out of that room for certain points, then get back into it, because that when she makes the delivery, she can leave the room. And it's about her basically surviving on the spaceship. She's a very calm character. Because she's a robot, she's not exactly human, but she is fascinated by humans. She's interested in why they need these packages made up usually of things that are insignificant, that create importance for them. And it's just that humanity's dying, basically. It's spread out around the universe, but it's dying because it's becoming an endangered species, because it's lost the will to move on. It's lost the belief in itself, and it's created all these robots now that can take over. So it's created its offspring to take over the universe, and it's just there. And you see her going from place to place with these packages. She's one of many who look exactly the same as a robot, and she's hired as one ship and it's floating through space, and every so often she stops at a location and delivers a package, and it's always the old looking people or eccentric people. You know, they all seem mad, they all seem like stuck in a place, and you don't know how they're surviving, because every time she goes in, it's always a wreckage. It's always shot in Japan, and it's always, they don't even try and hide the fact that it's shot in Japan. The idea is that it's like these places that are stores that are just broken down and no longer being used, but they're old storefronts, and they've always got the same old logos that you recognise from today, because it's just expansion of that. And it doesn't even try and change the name to make it funny or silly. It's just like, yeah, this is, whatever it's going to be the same thing anyway. So there's nothing new. So there's a melancholy to it, the idea of just the repeating of the same thing again, again, again. And nothing really changes. It's just this sense of depression and horrible lack of development. And it's shot in black and white, so so you see the landscapes, it does feel drained of life. There's one shot halfway through where there's a colour shot. There's one shot, it's never explained, full colour, then it's black to black and white. And the black and white's there to give the experience a sense of humanity's fallen away. And it's shot beautifully. And it's also because most of it's shot in this one location, so the drip and tap, any little thing she has to sort becomes a very important thing. So it feels very David Lynchian in the sense of these are room, and what's happening in the room is very important, and the idea of the inside of the room is becoming the reality, the inside and the outside is merging in their heads, and then what's happening in their head inside the room is very important. And she's becoming more and more human, more and more distracted, more and more burnt out by sending these packages, these people who are obviously not going to make it. And it's just a tone piece, the idea of how people evolve to start with some promise and slowly lose it over time. Just the endless time and the endless sense of you're in a small room, you're never going to escape it. So even if humanity's moved out to the stars, it's still a series of small rooms and small industries that have built up that fall away when they realise they have no faith in their imagination. And you've got this idea of this little ship going through the stars. It feels very much like Dark Star. It's that low budget feel that John Carpenter had with Dark Star. This sense of we're not going to hide the fact that this is a low budget thing. This is just an imaginative element. From what I talked about in the Mickey video, the Japanese and Asia basically can have the imagination and not be too bothered by clunky effects. They can add stuff in their brain and it's fine. And there's a charm to this. Everything's very retro and very old fashioned, and it doesn't need to look perfect and slick. It's actually, the ship makes you remember what you saw of sci-fi in your youth, the idea of sci-fi being tied to the past of humanity. Like there's a linkage to the old industries, like the Victorian times, moving through the old industries of Depression era, where like a house can feel like timeless, you know, and it's a progression of humanity to its end point. And because the machines have become like humanity, they've reached their end point too, because they can't see beyond the cul-de-sac of where the humans have gone. So it's a wonderful, fascinating film. It's really beautiful. This and Antiporno are both stuck in my head since I've seen them. They're both wonderful films. And they're both a case of I'm trying to not give you the details of... I've given you the general outline, but what I'm telling you is something that's apparent fairly early in both of those films. It's the idea of what goes on in our heads rather than what the plot is. Because watching these films, it's really about how people react and how they look and how the images interact rather than what's the plot progression. You don't get told any of this stuff that I've just mentioned through plotting. You just get it through imagery and a sense of something building over time. This film lasts about over an hour and a half, but it's perfectly paced. You really are engaged and it just slows down your sense of the world, and it's just wonderful. It's a beautiful film. It's for people who love films like Stalker and 2001, Dark Star, things like that. Perfect film for that. It's just beautiful. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I'll be watching more Sono films obviously. I'm really looking forward to them. And I'll be back with Fires on the Plane. That's coming next.